welcome back to Sunday Nights with Faye Seidler. It's your host, Faye Seidler. That's me. We're back in the flesh this week. Anna Faye filled in for me last week. I think she did a pretty good job. If you'd like her to take over because she's more popular than I am, vote, like, comment, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. But we have a lot of great news this week, as we always do. Just a ton of news from your news girl, Faye. I have a lot to get through really quickly, so I'm going to do that. The Ridge opened up a new inpatient facility treatment center in the Fargo-Moorhead area. The Ridge specializes in addiction and reentry, so I want you to know that they have some new programming available. In that vein, we also have free Narcan. The North Dakota Department of Health and Human Services has the ability for individuals to order Narcan either as a clinic or an individual, with a lot of different resources for individuals that might be struggling with any kind of addiction. In other good news, we have free bus rides to and from libraries for our K-12 students that they are able to get on. I'm not sure the particulars of it, but you can send your kid to the library for a fun day to read, as far as I understand it. In some bad news, we have supplies running out for emergency food pantry in the Fargo area. I don't know how much this is across the state. However, what we know is that donations have been reduced pretty drastically in the last couple of years, with a lot of different competing struggles of inflation, wealth inequity that make it harder for some of these services that keep people afloat to continue to do that. If you're able to donate or provide some kind of help to our local food pantries, they are currently calling for a SOP. That's Save Our Pantry. In some community news, there's an individual that is restoring old gravestones. I want to kind of highlight that because I think it's really cool and something I haven't really heard of being done before. So if you like that, check that out. Share, like, comment on it, comment on their work. I think it'd be kind of cool if we got more people to do that. I think the more that we honor individuals who have who we lost, says something about how invested we are in our lives today and our future. The more work we put into honoring people's memories, the more that we say memories are worth honoring. And the ones that we had yesterday or the ones that we make today are things that we can continue to celebrate. So I think that is important work. In other news, we have Hanoon Sour Bread, a BIPOC-owned business that sells fresh bread that, if you look at the comments, it looks like everyone absolutely loves, and their kids are now demanding that they continue to get fresh bread from their parents. So good experiences, but you might have to be a repeat customer, so keep that in mind. The First Congregational United Church of Christ, located in Moorhead, is going to be showing Growing Up Trans, which is a documentary featuring many trans youth and what their lives are actually like, to help understand what that looks like outside of some of the rhetoric we hear in news locally with people. That will be happening on July 20th at 2 p.m. at the Moorhead Public Library. In Minot on July 20th, we have the state parade, and I want you to know that beyond the parade, which has over 200 floats or parade people in it, the Minot Interfaith Community Allies is inviting allies and individuals who support broad faith equity and LGBT plus individuals to march with them. They did this last year and they had, I think, 30 some folks marching with them. So if you are in the state parade, if you want to be part of one of the floats, Minot Interfaith Community Allies does invite you to join them, especially for the LGBT plus community that is local to that area. Moving into some cool upcoming trainings, we have in Moorhead an in-person Safe Talk training on July 30th at 8 p.m. We have a What Happens When You Call 988 training that will be happening in August. This is a training to let you know what actually happens when you call the 988 suicide hotline, suicide and crisis hotline, and what a call looks like. So it's a really important training that anyone can be involved with. We have several mental health first aid trainings occurring. This is like first aid, the physical band-aids, or medical adhesive strips. But for mental health, it is to understand how to provide basic aid to individuals who might be struggling with mental health, with depression, anxiety, substance use, psychosis, or anything like that. We may not be equipped to be like therapists. That doesn't mean we're not humans. It doesn't mean we can't help people and help get them professional help, whatever that might look like. These trainings are to keep the people in your life safe from the impacts of bad mental health. And then we have Voices of Veterans, which is a training, an all-day training coming up for individuals who work with veterans. In political news, we have North Dakota joining a challenge against the federal government due to healthcare protections for transgender individuals. If you live and work in North Dakota, this is not really a surprise, as North Dakota has taken every opportunity it could to challenge that LG plus individuals have any sort of rights. It has been pretty consistent. It looks like for our 2025 legislative session, a big focus is probably going to be property taxes as well as continual focus on child care. I continue to try to monitor this and what various nonprofits are looking at and for, but it tends to be North Dakota is struggling with childcare, it's struggling with feeding kids, it's struggling with a lot of basic amenities where um, we will see if we can help people keep on their feet in the state. As I hear more, I'll keep on updating on what our focus of 2025 might be. I don't know if it's going to be queer bills again. It probably won't be 20, but we'll see. The last thing I want to focus on is Minot Women's Network. This is an organization that is new and within Minot, but definitely has advocacy across the state. This is different and distinct than other women's networks that we have had before, either locally or nationally, but tend to focus on a lot of the same issues, whether that be LG plus care, reproductive rights, or general medical autonomy. They are currently going to hopefully be getting me more information that I'll be sharing next week to give you a broader idea of their work and focus. But it looks like there's a lot of individuals involved right now that have quite a lot of talent. So it'll be good to see where this organization develops. That's what I have for our opening news. We're going to be moving into our HRC, North Dakota Human Rights Coalition interview with the new director, Dalton Erickson, followed by just covering some more queer events that are happening, including the LG Plus Summit, which is occurring in less than 3 months now. So thanks for joining me for this section with the real in-person Faye. And then we're going to move into our next section.
So my name's Dalton Erickson, he, they. I've been active in the community for as long as I can remember. I was a military brat, so both my parents were in the Navy. I moved around a lot as a kid, but we landed here, and both my parents work at the Air Force Base here. And then I've sort of stuck around for over 20 years now, and I think at that point I get to call myself a North Dakotan. So I sort of got my start when I worked at a homeless shelter here in Grand Forks, Northlands Rescue Mission, because both my parents were landlords, and that is something that I sort of struggled with because, like, my first car was given to us because someone owed back rent, and that car just became the story of someone else's spiral into poverty. And as I continued working at the mission, I always loved talking to everyone there and learning their stories and seeing how, like, the systemic and structural issues are a lot of the reasons why they were where they are today. So it's so many things like that where it's like healthcare is a human right, housing is a human right. These fundamental things that let us be who we want to be and survive are just so very important to me. I've always wanted to do more and more to get engaged. So thankfully, I saw a job posting thanks to yours truly, Faye, who sent me over the information, and I read through it and I'm like, this is literally my dream job. This is all the skills and everything I've done in life wrapped up into one so I can make a difference and help build a movement and connect people to make some good positive change. So right before I came from the UND School of Law, where I was the events and marketing coordinator. So I had left Northlands Rescue Mission for the UND. For one, so I could go back to school, and for two, so I could learn some law on the side. Just as a perk of working at the law school, you get to know a lot of lawyers and sort of learn and do things like that.
It's always fun when someone knows a law because I feel like a lot of our lawmakers don't. Not to particularly call anyone out, but it's fun when people know what the law is.
You know, I come from this grassroots community organizing space. And when you're in these small grassroots organizing things, you kind of need to be a jack of all trades. You need to be the events person, you need to be the marketing person, you need to be like the leader for the meetings and everything. What I believe in is coalition building. it's really about forming a united front of people of all ideologies, all walks of life, and all the different organizations together. I've really described doing politics in North Dakota as sort of a guerrilla warfare politics. We're like outmanned, we're outgunned, and we've got no money. So you really need to learn how to organize and be effective with what you have. Let's find how we can all work better together so we can all organize and like fight against all this horrible legislation better together. Like we are a coalition. Like that includes everyone on the table and everyone's voices together.
It's a third of your
So,
letters.
exactly right. It is so key. It is so important. There's this problem with an organizing of like sometimes you're sitting there like, well, we don't know what to do. And because you don't know what to do, people don't come to the meetings. And then because people aren't coming to the meetings, ideas aren't being brought forward. And so you get stuck in this like, oh, nothing's happening. So a huge part is purely the meeting of minds from all the different walks of life, all the different specializations, and seeing how we can work together and what people's strengths are and how we can benefit each other. And that's one of the other like skills I think I come with is I've learned a bit about like mediation and like talking to people. There's, working with the homeless population, it's very much something that like you have to talk and walk and work with people of all walks of life and understand where they're coming from. And in the political sphere, uh, everyone has a whole bunch of different ideologies, and I don't have a particular ideology. I am somebody that is a pragmatic idealist. I have my ideals of human rights and what is right, and how we reach there is through pragmatic approaches. We need to talk and see the human between each other, and then come together over that and fight and move forward. Small disagreements should never be the block to preventing big change. What's the best use of my time right now? And right now, that's with the coalition, because I believe that we can really pull everyone together and help defend human rights and fight for bigger changes. So that's where I am today. And in the future, we'll see where life brings me. So I'm a nerd, outright and through. I play video games. The only sport I follow is motorsports. So like Formula One, IndyCar. I just love the like mechanical aspect of it, the technological drivenness and strategy of motorsports. I have a cat. Her name is Delacour, which on sadder news, we just found out that so she had surgery recently and it turned out to be cancer. So
Oh,
sadly, my cat might have at best a year left with me, but she's my baby. um, I have a wife. I was married last year, and while I do have a wife and I'm in a heteronormative relationship, I am queer, so that's another big part of me. And uh, you know, I'm really just a nerd. I love reading. I love writing. I do poetry, and some of that poetry I've gotten published. The majority of my writing is just for me, and
yeah.
I've just not put it out there in the world yet.
So what's like a book series you'd recommend for people?
Uh,
Like a nerdy one, like a fantasy fiction or something?
that's where it's even troubling is I read a lot of nonfiction. So
Oh,
a book.
nonfiction nerd? What are some
Oh,
essays published by historical figures that you've dabbled in?
you heard of this Hegel guy? So no, one book I do recommend, and this kind of again talking about my all ideologies approach. Just because it's so interesting, is called "Blessed is the Flame." It is an anarcho-nihilist book about concentration camp resistance. So resistance within concentration camps and like how people organized within it and where did it fail.
With leading the North Dakota Human Rights Coalition, what's some of your ideas for organizing?
So one of my big things has always been about getting young people engaged. I think there's always been a like lack of third spaces nowadays. People don't have communities as much as they used to, and they are feeling apathetic and hopeless more than ever. And I've always loved seeing people be able to make friends and feel like they're making change by getting involved in their community and with political organizations. I think it's good for people's mental health to be engaged. And while I say this, I also want to say pace yourself. Like organizing is something that like you do not want to get burnt out on. You don't want to feel hopeless because why we get engaged in this work is to build hope and have that faith that humanity is going to pull through. I think that is so important for people to just know and get involved because not enough people will have a place where they can just go, talk about their feelings, and then work together to fix some of the problems in this society.
You're touching on burnout and secondary trauma, which is the biggest part of my work in suicide prevention and with organizing in any space. I usually recommend people that they don't start off with where they feel they want to contribute, but they start off with like 2 hours. And then if that feels like it's
Mm-hmm.
going good, maybe do 4 hours and build up to your limit. Don't, try to see where you hit a wall first. Like maybe see that
Mm-hmm.
wall coming a wise.
The hope is the knowing that you're not alone and the faith of even just looking from a historical perspective that things get better, that we do all this and like we've been through this before and we've always overcome. Uh, as the Martin Luther King Jr. quote is, the arc of the universe is long, but it bends towards justice. And so much has been done, and there are people there with you. If I'm just alive so I can help others, then that is a life well worth living. And you should also live for yourself, mind you. You should. That's the other thing I had to learn is you should also put yourself first. But we're here for each other, and binding together is something that gives me faith, and I think a lot of people faith.
That's what I have for questions. So thank you so much for joining me and talking about your role, what's going forward, answering some of these questions. And I think that even being willing to do that and being here and being accessible to me is really important, especially as a role of a director of a human rights coalition. Just because accessibility is so important. I feel like with so many nonprofits, we are all so busy that we sometimes sequester ourselves in our own work and don't. So I appreciate that you're on. I appreciate your time. Any final messages for people?
Yes, and kind of to build off of what you said is availability. I've sure I am a leader, but there's always been something that I've learned of like to be a good leader, you need to be a good follower. Like we're all in this together. Watching my boss do dishes during Thanksgiving, it's things like that. And I've always been an advocate of promoting other people's work and kind of being in the background. Like I love helping promote other people so they feel better and so that they can be more engaged because it's about all of us. It's about we, not just me. So please, anyone, reach out to me, talk to me. If you are just taking your first steps into advocacy, come chat with me. I can help you. Whether you're getting involved with the coalition or one of our community partners, what matters is you're doing something that you love and that inspires you and can inspire others.
Heck yeah. And then we roll some credits and some good music and
All right, for this very loud background, we're going to be talking about how you can continue to be gay for the next couple of months. So we have opportunities to volunteer for the FM Pride events that are happening in August within Fargo-Moorhead. You can still volunteer for those. They're coming up in less than a month right now, but there are going to be events that are happening between August 8th and 11th, ending in the parade that is the big event that keeps on happening within local Fargo-Moorhead Pride. After that, in September, we have our Grand Forks Pride that occurs. It's a more than a week-long event with a lot of different, especially family-friendly events that you can get involved with. That's happening in September. Jamestown Pride is also happening in early September. And then we have the LGBTQ Plus Summit happening in October. This is the biggest event that collects that all individuals across North Dakota who are part of the queer community or who want to see better outcomes within the queer community can attend. It's going to be in Bismarck, and this has been an event that last year over 200 people attended. They have expanded. There are 300 tickets up for sale right now. So it's an event that you can get involved with, be part of, and it is the place to connect. If you want to make change in North Dakota for LGBT plus individuals as a doctor, social worker, teacher, administrator, politician, parent, whatever, this is the event to go to make connections, learn what's going on, be motivated, to continue to fight and understand that there are rooms full of people who do care, who genuinely love and support their LGBT plus friends and family and each other in the community, and that we can find a place where our kids can grow up to be happy, where our kids have the chance to have loving and accepting parents in ways that we have never seen 2 decades ago. Everyday things do get better. As hard as that might be to swallow, given like current news and the current state of the world, when I grew up, you couldn't be trans. That wasn't an option, really, realistically, for most people. And even if you were, or if you're gay or anything like that, you are more likely to be kicked out of your home than anything else if you ever were honest about it. Today, more than ever, kids can be honest about who they are. They can have real chances to get good education on being gay, on sexual health, on medical considerations, find support, and have a childhood a lot of us never got to experience. So as bad as it can be, know that that opportunity is more than it's ever been. And for parents who are not totally accepting or totally safe for their kids who are queer, that used to be just everyone. So we've made a lot of strides, and every day we create more opportunity and more hope for people who are queer to be able to thrive, whatever that means to them. So yeah, I just want to let you know there are more events going on. I have the Pride Guide up, so even if you're like, gosh, this place sucks and there's no gay people, well, there are, and they're everywhere. And sometimes they're tired, but like it exists. There are communities everywhere is kind of the point of the story, and to let you know that stuff is still happening. So hopefully you can get out, you can mingle, you can make friends and all that fun stuff. And that's what I have for my show tonight. So thanks for joining me back here. And if you want Anna Faye instead of Faye from now on, I totally understand. I think she's better than me in every way. So yeah, bye. Well, thank you everyone for watching my show. That's all I have for today. I hope you have a good rest of your week. I hope we see you back here next week. Just want to give some thank yous to all the folks here who contributed to the show, who made it all a great time and informed us about the cool stuff they're doing. Will be my outro probably for a while until I choose to change it. You all have a good day. Bye.